The worst was the sea of flames.
I looked back to see the sky lit up in flames, with all hell raining down.
Suddenly the air was on fire.
My hands smelled for a month. It smelled just like that burning flesh.
A year ago today, the Zeppelin was the peak of innovation. It was sleek, smooth, and aerodynamic, and it captured the fancy of the world. However, May 6, 1937, changed everything.
The Hindenburg took us 5 years to construct. It was a behemoth of an aircraft, 804 feet long, even longer than the U.S. Capitol building. I was proud to host some of the most famous and influential people in the world aboard my ship.
My time working on the Hindenburg was the best time of my life. It was thrilling being a part of a crew working on the most advanced piece of technology of this decade.
After opening in 1937, the Hindenburg departed from Frankfurt, Germany on the evening of May 3rd for a journey across the Atlantic to Lakehurst Naval Air Base in New Jersey.
I joined after the third flight to Rio de Janeiro, and it was my first flight as commanding captain of the Hindenburg, an honor I was proud of.
The first time I saw the Hindenburg, I stood in front of what I thought was a gray wall. It took a while before I realized that I was standing in front of the ship.
Huge to the average person, the Zeppelin was only 80 feet shorter than the Titanic, and yet its colossal size was able to transport passengers from Frankfurt, Germany to Lakehurst, New Jersey.
The atmosphere, waiting to catch a glimpse of the ship, was incredible and would be groundbreaking for my photography career.
It was raining on the day of the ship's landing. We were all soaking wet, absolutely wringing wet. I think what saved me in the end were my wet clothes.
It was a cool night. My mother sent me out to buy some milk. And she said that on the way, I could see a big airship called the Hindenburg flying in.
I was supposed to be taking pictures of one of the best triumphs in the era of the airship, but instead, I got pictures of its undoing.
The excitement of the Hindenburg landing and the thrill of the day was quickly shattered as tragedy struck the ship and everyone on board. We will see the disaster and the devastation it caused to people on it and below it after these words from our sponsor.
Mom, I'm hungry. I want food. I want food.
Honey, is my dinner ready yet?
Not yet.
Well, what's the problem?
There's not enough time in the day.
Well, do I have a solution for you? Enjoy Kraft Family Dinner now. In 3 easy steps, you'll have dinner in no time. Just boil the water, place the noodles in, and enjoy. Thank you, Mom.
Thanks, honey.
Don't thank me, thank Kraft Family Dinner.
Kraft Family Dinner. Dinner in no time.
The mighty Zeppelin, the pride of Germany, was on its way to New Jersey when, 1 year ago today, the Hindenburg erupted in flames and fell from the sky.
The majority of our journey was uneventful. It was not until we began approaching Lakehurst that my father pulled out his video recorder. I remember him attempting to film the ground below as we were beginning to prepare for landing. He then headed back to our family cabin. After that, we did not see him again.
I was on South Hope Chapel Road, walking up to the drugstore. I was looking up and admiring how big the ship was. I glimpsed at a reflection of orange and yellow on the pond, and a second later, I heard it. It was a huge explosion of gas and metal igniting in flames. For a moment, I couldn't move, and then I woke up and my legs started moving as fast as they ever had. And before I knew it, the Hindenburg was crashing down 100 yards away from me.
It's starting to rain again. The back motors of the ship are just holding it. It's just enough to keep it from. It is bursting into flames. It is crashing. Watch it, folks. Oh my! Get out of the way, please! This is one of the most terrible things I've seen. This is one of the most catastrophic things in the world. 400 by 100 feet into the sky, and it's terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. It's smoke. It's flames now, and the flames is crashing to the ground. All the humanity, all the passengers. This is one of the worst things I've ever witnessed.
It all happened so fast, and it was just all hell raining down. I started running away from the crash back towards the chapel, where I found lots of people. They were running around and yelling. I was so scared, I dropped the quarter my mother gave me. which I would regret later in the morning. I ran all the 2 miles home.
Suddenly the air was on fire. I was near a window when it started. My mother, being the saint she was, pushed myself and my brother Walter through a window to get out. My sister Irene was scared to leave my father, who we hadn't seen since he went back to our compartment. She went to look for him while my helpless mother jumped out of the window, saving herself from the fire that surrounded us.
The ship made a very precipitous drop right above us, about 150 feet, not much higher. I heard someone call out, "Look at the fire! She's caught on fire! Look, the back, it's burning! It's burning! Look at everybody running!" There was this eerie sound when the metal of the ship hit the ground, the mud, and it started crackling. The fire's burning a long, very heavy black smoke, and the coverage, the fabric, is burning very quickly.
The Hindenburg explosion shook our house and rattled the windows. My whole family drove right over to the air station, and from the south fence we could see the nose of the flaming dirigible skeleton, with the figures of running people outlined by the fire.
My mother, brother, and myself all received burns, mine being the most severe. I spent 3 months in the hospital being treated for my burns before I was transferred to a facility in New York to receive skin grafts. Irene, my beloved sister, was saved from the ship, but she had devastating burns and was sent to an area hospital to be treated. Sadly, she died of her injuries that night. My own father's body was found later when they dug through the wreckage.
Willie Speck, who was my chief radio operator, shouted at me from the back of the control car, telling me the ship was on fire. The tail of the ship began crashing, and all of us in the control car were forced to grab whatever we could. Right before the ship hit the ground, I escaped by jumping out of the window of the control car. I came out burned, but I had made it.
Out of the 97 people on board, 35, plus another man on the ground, lost their lives in that fiery explosion. The survivors remember that day, and the people who didn't. Some became heroes.
I knew I could not just leave my ship there. I went back to the wreckage and dragged out as many people as I could. I saw Willie there. He was unconscious, badly burned, bleeding. I carried him to the runway, and I just kept going back. I didn't think about myself or how badly burned I was becoming. I could only think of the people who were left in the mangled wreckage of the Hindenburg.
I was lucky to escape, but my crewmates, my friends, were not. The day after the crash, I returned to the site to look for my grandfather's pocket watch. And 4 days later, I returned to the site of the crash again, hoping it was still all just a dream. It wasn't.
It took me a little bit, but I was able to get a hold of myself and keep going. I interviewed many passengers and witnesses. I even got to reassure some family members that their loved ones got out all right. The horrific image of that beautiful ship crashing and burning has never left my head. All those lives lost and that ship set for the future, gone in an instant.
I walked into school the next day and everyone was quiet, almost like a moment of silence for all who were lost. I'm now 11 and keep seeing it happen over and over. I don't think it will ever go away.
These days, I'm recovering from the skin grafts I received after the catastrophe. But the worst part is I really miss my father and sister.
It was supposed to be no big deal. The Hindenburg had come here before. Instead, all I wish is that maybe someday, I will do something people remember me for, more than this. But somehow I doubt it. When it was all over, I sat with my back to a hangar and cried.
We still don't know why it happened. Some speculate it was lightning, some say it was static electricity, whatever that means. Some say it was sabotage. At least that's what the German government said. I don't know.
It couldn't have been lightning. It had flown here in lightning before, and one of the flight crew told me it had been hit before, so it couldn't have been that. I just know it couldn't have been.
Whatever caused this catastrophe, the Hindenburg disaster is putting an end to passenger travel by dirigible. People are afraid of that explosion. All anyone sees is the image of that noble ship going up in flames. This reporter will never forget it either. I'm Saren Castellano. The final passage is done.